Hi guys and welcome back. I don't even know where to start with this video. This is a story that I promised you last video and it is insane, it's infuriating, and it's so frustrating, and you're in for a ride because I was for 1.5 months, so strap in. What was that? I don't know. Just very quickly, I didn't get to film. Usually I film with my sisters in kindergarten. I didn't get to do that today, so she's currently sat on the couch behind this camera with with her tablet, and I've literally taped earbuds to her ears so they won't fall out. So if you hear anything, it's her. Oh yeah, and I wanted to be standing up in this video, but as you can see, that did not work out. My tripod is too short to be standing up that far on its own, and when you put it on something, the light can't get close enough so you can see the light. So I'm gonna have to figure that out. This video, just with the energy and everything, would have been great if I had been standing up, but like, we have to make do. Anyway, this video is everything that went wrong on my LA trip, which was pretty much every day something just came up. I don't even know how to explain it other than it was a trip from hell in some ways, and in others, I just feel like bad luck followed me around, but I'm #blessed to even have gone, and I'm actually really happy a lot of this happened because I managed to like handle it on my own, and I got that like sense of I can handle a lot of stuff on my own. But like, anyway, let's get into the video. I'm gonna try and make it short, but it's probably gonna be a bit long because there's so much to cover. Not even kidding. So it all started late December when I suddenly realized, oh my god, this trip is really happening. It's so close. I'm stressing out of my mind. I still didn't have my, I can't remember what it is. It's not a visa, but that other thing, I'm gonna like type it on the screen. It still hadn't come through yet, and I was stressing that I had already bought plane tickets and a place to stay and this course and everything. I'd spent so much money, and if I didn't get this thing, I wouldn't even get to go. And aside from that, I was like freaking out over the fact that I was going alone. I didn't know anyone. I was actually flying to the other end of the world, and I started having daily really bad anxiety and panic. And so on New Year's Eve, it really hit me that, oh my god, I'm leaving in 5 days. Crap. And I don't know why I have this thing every New Year's Eve. I end up getting really upset about something. I'm like that girl. This New Year's Eve, I was freaking out and I was crying and having a breakdown over the fact that I was finally going to LA, which was what I've been wanting my entire life. The days following only got worse. I started having panic attacks constantly, pretty much. I was like in a state of panic the whole time. And the day before, I was still finishing up packing, and I was just set that I did not want to go. I was having a really bad panic attack, and I was crying to my parents and just saying I didn't want to go, and I didn't want to go, and it's just money. I didn't care at that point, and I just did not want to go. And usually when I have panic attacks, I get like inconsolable. I just start crying a lot, and nothing you can really say will help me. I just have to ride through it and help myself. So that happened, and coming out of that panic attack, I was still extremely anxious, to the point where I just curled up in a ball and didn't want to pack and had basically decided on not going. However, a 1.5 years prior to this, I had gotten an opportunity that was really cool, and I would be able to work on this film set, and it would have been really awesome, honestly. But I had a panic attack getting home from that meeting the day before it started, and I ended up just saying that I couldn't do it, and I backed out of it. That has been something that I've been regretting ever since. So in my mind, that was playing too, and being like, you will regret not going if you don't go. But regardless of that thought, I still kept panicking. I didn't really pack, and I barely slept that night. I didn't eat for pretty much a whole 24 hours before leaving, maybe more, I can't even remember. And I barely slept, and by the time that it got to the morning, I had, again, pretty much decided not to go. I had been throwing up that night. My stomach was not great. I hadn't eaten, and I just didn't want to go. And so I kept going back and forth with my mom, and then I got a text that my flight was delayed, and I was like, okay, I can take a bit more time to figure this out. Oh my god. And then while I was discussing this with my mom, suddenly the flight got moved back again. So it wasn't that delayed anymore. And we were like, crap. And then I just decided, okay, I'll go to the airport and I'll see. And the airport's far. It's expensive to drive to the airport from here. So I guess I could have gone back with my mom after that, but it wouldn't have been a great situation. But we made it to the airport and the flight got delayed again, just as we arrived. I checked in and we sat and talked a bit, and then I said goodbye and I started crying a bit, and then get to my gate and my flight gets delayed again, and then one more time. And I think we ended up taking off about 2.5 hours later than we were supposed to. But so was the situation. Now I was on the flight, I was starting to feel better and be a bit more calm about going, and I was doing it now and I was getting excited actually. I'm still not feeling the best, but I started being able to eat and everything. But I had a layover in New York and I make it to New York. And because my flight was so delayed, I did not make my connecting flight. So I get to the airport knowing that my flight is taking off in about 15 minutes and I have to pick up my luggage, go through security, go through the entire airport and find my new gate. That's not gonna happen. So I had to rebook my flight, and they basically had no flights going to LA at that point because, lo and behold, the blizzard storm kind of thing that was going on the East Coast at that point was happening right as I was landing. So all flights were either full or cancelled. But after a long time of trying to figure out a flight with this flight person at the airport, I don't even know. He was very kind, by the way. And I almost passed out and he ended up getting me water, so that was nice of him. He ended up finding me a flight where I would fly to Dallas and then that night I would fly to LA. So I get to the new counter at a different airline and she tells me, you know that the connecting flight has been cancelled because of the weather, right? And I was like, no. So she booked me a second flight from Dallas. So I would still be flying to Dallas that day. But when I landed in Dallas, I wouldn't be able to fly from Dallas to LA until the next morning. So I flew to Dallas after a major breakdown in the airport, sobbing on the phone with my mom. Again, just feeling like I wanted to go home, and I had made it this far, but I could not deal with the thought of having to stay in Dallas for a night. It was just too much on top of everything else, and my anxiety was like up here. I made it to Dallas. Nice flight again, super great. And then there were no hotel rooms available except for like 5 miles outside of the airport, which isn't much, but when you're a little girl from Denmark who has never been to the US, I was like, I'm not leaving the airport. So I ended up sleeping on a metal chair in the airport and woke up way too soon because my clock hadn't set from New York time to Dallas time, so I was still on East Coast time. So I got to my gate like way early and I was very confused. But I digress. I got on my flight to LA, landed in LA, and I was just like, sweet, made it here, yes, finally, woo! What can go wrong now? Would just be that my luggage didn't show up or something, right? No, I was standing waiting for my luggage, and lo and behold, I see a suitcase that's gray that has very clearly got a big hole on the side of it, and I was just like, that better not be my suitcase. It was my suitcase. So I pick up my suitcase and I call my mom again. And I'm like, hey mom, I know you're just putting my sister to sleep right now, but
guess what?
And I end up going to the airline and fixing this, and they got me a new suitcase. Actually, I happen to have it right next to me and I just almost knocked it over. Oh my god. Hold on. Oh, move the camera. This is going great. Hi! I have the suitcase right here, but anyway. Meanwhile, the manager of the apartment that I'm renting on Airbnb is constantly texting me being like, are you here yet? Where are you? When are you gonna be here? Estimated time of arrival. Constantly. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm trying to figure this out. My flight was delayed to LA. I missed my connecting flight. My suitcase got ruined, everything, I'm gonna be there soon. And then I managed to get in an Uber and make it to my apartment. This video is already so long, I'm gonna try and speed it up, but it's gonna be long. Grab a snack if you haven't already. Make it to my apartment. The manager and her son are standing outside. Mind you, this is not the host of the Airbnb, she's just managing it, but get in the apartment. and it is tiny. Like way smaller than the pictures or anything on this site, on their like Airbnb site suggested. Like so tiny. Like you get straight into the kitchenette. You can like turn, there's the bed, a lounge chair type thing, a dresser, a closet, and a table with 2 chairs, and you can like kind of move between those and get to a window, but you have to like walk sideways around the bed and stuff. And then in the bathroom's actually okay, aside from the fact that there's red mold in it. I'm not even kidding. And I'm not the type to be very confrontational and stuff, so I did not go up to this lady and say, this is not what I expected. So I just tried to smile and be like, nice, yay, at least I have a bed now. And then the manager tells me that the TV does not work. So they will be trying to fix that, but they don't know when it's gonna be done. Great. So I pass out on the bed, don't wake up until the next day. Next day, I wake up to a text going, good morning, Nicole. Starting tomorrow, Monday, we are going to start with the garden deck. Will take about 10 days, may not be able to use laundry, a day or 2. Signed by the host and the manager. Great. Okay, so construction, woo! But I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna be at yoga most of the days, so it's probably not gonna be that bad. I won't see most of it or hear most of it. It's gonna be fine. 10 days, I can deal with that. Fast forward a few days, it's now Thursday, which means it's the 11th, so I've been in LA for 5 days now. I get a text from the manager saying, hi, so the annual sprinkler and fire alarm tests are gonna be done today from 9 p.m. to 12 a.m. I think it said. At that time, it was currently 8:30 a.m. So they would be arriving in half an hour to go into my apartment. I was just about to leave to go to yoga. You see where this is going? Very short notice, basically, for something that's annual, which means they would have known that this would be happening before then, and I had not heard a word of it before. I get back, the TV has still not been fixed, despite the fact that the host has been in the apartment with the people fixing or checking the things. The day after, I ask about if I can just try and set up a new remote that they left when they were there and see if that'll work. And the manager texts me back saying that the owner will check up on it, but yeah, I can try and do it myself. An hour later, knocking on the door, the host is standing outside my door, unannounced, did not know she was coming over, but she has decided that she's now gonna fix the TV. So she goes in, she spends about an hour trying to fix this, can't seem to do it. She gets one of the construction workers to come in and try and help her fix this TV. He was, by the way, really sweet. I think he was Mexican as well, and he told me what my name meant in Spanish. I've somehow forgotten already, but he was nice, but it was still kind of like, really? And to make matters better or worse, depending on how you see it, this was also the day of my best friend's birthday, my late best friend, and I was planning to spend it like treating myself, and instead I was stuck in my apartment until these people had left again. Day after, TV's still not fixed. The manager then shows up to my apartment, sort of unannounced as well, to switch out the TV boxes, the cable boxes, I guess. In doing so, she does fix the TV, but she leaves an extra remote that is not supposed to be there. So I get a text saying she'll come pick it up the next day. So anyway, as you know, they were doing construction, and because of that, the washing machines were not available, and also I needed a lot of quarters to wash my clothes. I did not have a lot of quarters. I did not know how to get a lot of quarters, and for my gym clothes, I was scared of ruining it in the machine. So I ended up washing my clothes in the tub multiple times during that stay. Wouldn't recommend, but you gotta do what you gotta do. So anyway, 2 weeks or so into the yoga course, I start getting a really bad shoulder cramp. Every time I move, it gets worse, so I have to sit out from yoga for 2 or 3 days and just watch, which was great. And then on, I guess that's like a week later, maybe on January 25th, I get out of practice. I can like barely move anymore, and I'm like, I have to get a massage. I have to get a massage, because I could not, if I didn't do it, I would not be able to do anything but just feel like I'm dying and lying in my bed the next day and not show up to yoga. So I got a massage. It was great. She sat on my back and like cracked my back, and that was great, but like sitting on me was kind of weird. She asked me to be completely naked, which I ended up keeping on my underwear because I felt weird. She had long nails, so she kept scratching me, but aside from that, it was a great massage. The next day, however, I was really emotional and I ended up having the worst breakdown in class. And I was just lying on the floor, sobbing, while everyone else was doing handstands or headstands. Yeah. Later that day, I decided, because I had that breakdown, that I would go treat myself to some McFlurry and a milkshake, and I get to McDonald's in a hoodie and like sweats, and I don't look good at all. I look really tired, really pissed off, and just in a bad mood all around. And these two guys decide to approach me and catcall me and make me feel really uncomfortable, and so I do a not very nice thing and I flip them off, which I wouldn't recommend doing, but again, they shouldn't be doing that either, so I don't know, I wasn't comfortable. Turns out these guys were not having it at all, because then they decided to basically follow me into the McDonald's and yell at me and stuff. So now I'm super scared. I'm waiting to order, trying to figure out any other way of getting out of this McDonald's. There is none. So I ended up going out the same exit, the furthest part away from them as possible in that door, and walking the whole way around the block just to avoid them. So I didn't risk getting assaulted on the way home. After that, I can only describe it as my toes started flossing. It was like my skin just started coming off, like, you know, when you have a hangnail? That happened like times 20 underneath my toes, and it hurt like a mother trucker. But apparently I wasn't the only one that this happened to, because a lot of these people that I did yoga with, we started just bonding over all of our toes flossing, so that was weird, but like great. Anal. So January 31st comes. We have our written in-class exam, which was not supposed to be for another 2 days, but for some reason my teacher decided to move it, and my anxiety is through the roof. Do the exam, everything's great. We finished yoga on the 2nd of February, and on the 3rd, I decide to have a lie-in. It's the first day I've had off for 4 weeks, and I'm just like, not gonna do anything. I'm just gonna lay in bed all day, and I'm just gonna eat whatever I have in the house, and it's gonna be great. 6 p.m. rolls around, and I start getting headaches. I start having stomach cramps. I get really, really dizzy, like to the point where like that, the whole room is spinning in a way that I've never, ever tried before, even though I have this illness where I get dizzy because my blood pressure drops, but this was not the same at all. I could feel my blood pressure dropping, but it wasn't the same as I'm used to. I felt like my pulse was really weak, and I was out of breath. I got like itchy nose, itchy eyes, everything just went insane. And I basically found out later that I had anaphylactic shock. I still don't know what it was from, because I went home and got tested and they did not find anything. We thought it was my penicillin allergy, but apparently I've grown out of that, so that's not what I reacted to. But I had anaphylactic shock. Completely alone. I thought I was gonna die. I ended up calling my mom at 3 a.m. Danish time, waking her up because I was legit scared I was gonna die, and I was considering calling the ambulance. Looking back on it, I really should have, but I didn't. And for the following days, I just kept almost passing out. I was extremely close to passing out of my sleep every time I went to sleep. My ears popped. Genuinely, I thought I was gonna die. But the next day, I get a text from the manager of my house saying that the termite inspector will be over in the morning the next day. Fun. That does make you wonder a little what's going on in the other apartments. And that night was the Super Bowl, so I could just lay in bed feeling like I was literally dying and hearing everyone else celebrating outside. The next day, now we're on February 5th, my data stopped working on my phone. So I was now pretty much cut off from the world whenever I was outside of my apartment where the Wi-Fi couldn't reach. And it's not even like I'll just pay for more data outside of the country. I literally couldn't use it at all. At this point, I'm also realizing that I still, because outside of our yoga course, we had to do 12 yoga classes that weren't a part of the course itself. And I had done about like 5, and I had less than 2 weeks until I had to hand in my second exam. And I was still almost passing out constantly and feeling like I was dying. But I somehow still had to find a way to fit in these yoga classes while trying not to pass out. Also, if you don't know, one of my biggest fears is sharks. Also the ocean, but I'm kind of getting over that, but sharks. And later that night, I got a notification saying that a shark had been spotted outside Venice, or like between Venice and Santa Monica. I was staying in Santa Monica, right by Santa Monica Pier, and the picture pretty much showed that it had been right outside my apartment. So even though I was safely on land, I panicked and thought that this shark could come and get me. So those were my plans for swimming. Gone. My sister's getting bored. There's sounds coming from the couch. Please don't mind. So anyway, that day the termite inspector had been over. He showed up half an hour late, so I was just, again, stuck in the apartment. But he got really excited about the fact that I had cuties and kept talking about how he had some in his truck and loved them to death. So that was cute. Anyway, the day after, I woke up to construction trying to break down the walls of my house. It literally sounded like they were stood right next to my bed with a jackhammer trying to break down the wall. Also, did I mention this is March 6th? Construction started January 7th. They were supposed to take 10 days. It was still going on. I had also not been notified that it would go over, that they would still be doing it. I had not been notified of anything. I just saw them show up every day. Even on Saturdays at 8 in the morning. Did not appreciate it at all. Why do I sound so annoyed? Because I am. So anyway, February 7th, still dizzy, but I managed to get to the grocery store because I need water and I need like food, so had to do it. Kind of sort of thought I would be able to get a little bit of data when I got out, so I go on to Uber thinking I'll be able to order an Uber, it's gonna be fine. It won't connect to Uber. So I'm now stuck outside with a whole shopping cart full of food and water, and I can't do anything. There's a really creepy dude, which I'm pretty sure was on something because he was like really erratic. He put raw eggs in his water bottle, like shook it up and put something else. I can't even remember what it was. I think he put like vinegar in those raw eggs and like shook it and like drank it, and everyone around him was like, what the f. And he kept staring at me weird, and then this whole group of guys came and they would not leave me alone, and they kept like staring at me, and I was really uncomfortable and did not feel safe at all, so I felt like I had to get out of there as quickly as possible. So I ended up going up to this lovely lady and her daughter, who was around my age, probably a bit younger, and asking them if they knew the number to a cab. They got it for me. Bless them so much, because I needed to get out of there. I called a taxi, cab, whatever. It showed up, picked me up, and I got home. Slightly more expensive, and he also didn't know where he was going at all. He did not lock it into his phone, and he ended up doing it while he was driving, and he could not look at his phone and drive at the same time. He just kept like swerving, and I was kind of scared and kind of like baffled that that was happening, but I got home. The day after, February 8th, I had decided that I wanted to go to a yoga class, but as it got closer, I started getting really dizzy and having a headache, and I knew it was a really hard yoga class, so I decided to skip it. Literally a few minutes later, I got a notification on my phone saying that there had been a car crash in one of the traffic lights I would be going through at that exact moment, and it had been like a bad one, and a few minutes later I could hear the sirens going off and everything, like rushing to the place. Whoever held their hand over me and protected me in that moment and just were like, you're not gonna go right now. You're literally gonna get run over by these cars that are gonna hit each other, probably. I don't know. Thank you. And then we get into the fun part. February 9th. This was like an everyday thing now. Stuff was happening every single day. This is ridiculous. February 9th, I get a text in the morning saying, hey, by the way, plumbing is being turned off for 4 hours starting in just a few hours. Like, literally today. And that morning I had also been woken up by construction starting a quarter to 8 or something in the morning. But the next day I was finally starting to feel better. I didn't really feel sick anymore. I wasn't passing out or feeling like I was actually dying. So at least something was looking up, right? But the next day, my Wi-Fi also stopped working. So I was now almost completely cut off from the rest of the world. I could not even write my exam because I needed Wi-Fi to write on Google Docs. Also, this day, I got new neighbors that moved in, and the walls in my apartment and the floors were already so super thin that I could hear everything going on. Every morning I could hear my other neighbor using the microwave, and I could hear the person living upstairs getting home and like the dog running around and everything. But these neighbors were fighting all night until past 12 a.m. and I could not fall asleep because they just kept yelling at each other and slamming doors and stomping around, and yeah, I don't even know. Next day, plumbing was turned off for 4 hours again. This time I got a text 2 hours before. And then on Valentine's Day, I ended up going to my yoga teacher's yoga class, and I ended up completely ruining my knee, which meant that the following days I was in excruciating knee pain, and I would only be able to walk if I had my knee completely stretched out and like had a completely stiff leg. The day after, my water was turned off for 4.5 hours. They ended up finishing early, and then on that day as well, I got a message over Airbnb because it was getting close to the day I had to move out, and it was addressed to a person named Constantine. Don't know a Constantine, I don't have that name in my name. I literally have no clue where they got that name from. I did not ask. Angel, du skulle minst med. And so the following day, February 16th, was the day before I had to leave. As you may also know, it was also the day I had to get a tattoo. More on that later. But yeah, because of my knee thing, I ended up walking around town frantically trying to buy everything that I needed to get before I had to leave. And like presents for everyone and stuff on a stiff leg. And I was limping around like a crazy person, but whatever. I get home, I go to book an Uber, and shows me that I have to pay over $80 to go to North Hollywood from Santa Monica. Wait a little bit, and it's down to $73.61, and I'm just like, I can't push it any longer, so I ended up booking that Uber. And an Uber that was supposed to take 25 minutes ended up lasting an hour and 45 minutes because of traffic. I ended up finding out on the way there that it was the NBA All-Stars game that night, and because of that, the Uber prices were way higher, and also traffic was insane. I really wish I knew about this because I would have planned ahead, but I didn't. So anyway, I get to the tattoo place late, super stressed out, and as I mentioned in my last video, that experience otherwise was great. Just finished my appointment, and I get out, and the Uber that I ordered before I left is waiting for me, so it arrived just as I finished, which was perfect. And by the way, both Uber drivers back and forth were amazing, and the guy on the way back cost $26.52, which was still a really large amount of money for that ride. And that ride lasted about 40 minutes, which was nothing in comparison, but it was still a lot. Anyway, I get home, still haven't packed, and still haven't finished my exam, which is right about due. So I scramble to finish my exam. Wi-Fi keeps cutting out, so I can't write, and then I go to sleep for a few hours, and then I go in another Uber. This sounds like I'm sponsored by Uber. I'm not, I wish I was. But I take another Uber to go to FedEx so I can print out my exam and like ship that, and also ship some cereal back that I was gonna like take back to Denmark. Halfway there, I realize I've forgotten some important documents, so I have to go back to the apartment, get those, and then go back to FedEx. Go to FedEx, wait for 40 minutes to be like served. It's not served, but you know what I mean. Find out that shipping that box of cereal would cost over $500. And also they didn't have an envelope big enough for my papers, which were just regular A4. I don't know what that was all about. So I don't ship it, and I ended up going to the yoga place, and I could not figure out where to hand in this exam, but I ended up finding out, and then I get back to my apartment. I have an hour and a half to pack and leave the apartment. At this point, I still haven't showered. I haven't done anything. I have pretty much nothing packed. So I scrambled to pack everything. I packed so freaking fast. I've never packed that fast in my life. Then I hear a knock on the door. And it's the cleaning person, and he has arrived over half an hour early. And then when I tell him that I'm not done yet, he looks extremely confused and just like stands there for a bit, and then I close the door and he walks away. So now I'm even more stressed, and I'm struggling to like pack everything, clean out the fridge, and I haven't cleaned the kitchenette at all, so there's dishes everywhere and it's just a mess. There's another knock on the door, and it's the manager of the building. She's also arrived early and was like, "Oh, I figured you would have left by now, ha ha ha." And I'm like sweating profusely, so freaking stressed out. I have to make it to the airport before my flight leaves. I have to get out of this apartment very soon, and I'm just like so stressed out of my mind. I pack stuff, I get out of there, and I ended up leaving the apartment about 15 minutes too late, but I make it to the airport. Only to find out that shipping this freaking box and getting like extra luggage would cost me an extra $115. And on top of that, my regular luggage is overweight. It just keeps getting worse. But anyway, I get to the airport. Outside there's like these airport people, I don't know what they are, connoisseurs, I don't know. Standing, waiting, looking out, I don't know, working there. And one of the guys, he has to be way over 45 years old, starts hitting on me and being like, oh baby, this and that. Do I have to wait for you? And he was like kind of joking, but like kind of not. And he was like seriously suggesting waiting for me to return to LA and like asking when I would be returning and where I was going and just being super creepy. And I was like laughing it off, but also like, what the hell? You could be my dad. That's weird. And so anyway, I get to my gate and I'm like, there's about 20 minutes until my gate opens. I can make it to the bathroom. As you know, I didn't get to shower before leaving because I was in that much of a time crunch. And so I go and I like wash my armpits just to be like sort of clean, I guess, and help the people around me out. And I put on some deodorant and I pee and like do my business, everything. And then I go out and I hear, the first thing I hear upon exiting this toilet is, will Nicole blah blah blah, I'm not gonna say my surname right now, but you know, will she please go to the gate immediately? And my gate is like right across from this toilet. So I go to my gate and the gate is completely empty. Before it was full of people and they were like, we were just about to leave without you. And they were like joking, but also like rushing me and being like, they had closed off the entire gate basically. The doors had been locked and they were ready to leave. Keeping in mind, my gate still wouldn't be opening before another 20 minutes had passed. So they were not supposed to be boarding yet. But because everyone, aside from me apparently, had been at the gate early, they had just boarded early and were literally about to leave me behind, even though it wouldn't be taking off for like almost 45 minutes. So I rush into the plane. Everyone's like, oh, we've been waiting for you. And I'm like, what do you mean? You've been early. It's not my fault. I digress. I got on the plane. It was great. I landed in Stockholm where I had a layover and my flight back to Copenhagen was delayed by I think like 30-40 minutes. I ended up landing in Copenhagen a little late, but as planned. Nothing ruined, all my luggage there. Glad to finally be able to relax a little. And that, my dear friends, am I like 45? I don't even know. Was my sort of trip from hell, but like also an amazing trip that was just like everything that went wrong. Most of it was really great, but I was just faced with another challenge every single day and it was a lot. So anyway, that was the video. Hope you enjoyed. If you didn't, that's fine. I just really needed to get that off my chest and to share that because that was insane. My sister won't stop moving. She really wants me to be finished now, so I'm gonna go. I love you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you watched the whole thing, I feel like it's very, very long. Love you guys. See you guys soon. Bye.
Missing someone. Is as normal. Missing someone.
Also, yes, I've been very aware that I have mascara all over my eyelids. I could not be bothered to fix it.